Hi there, welcome to our kitchen. Alfie's just pattering on the floor once again to start this video because he likes to be a pain. But today we're going to be making a Basque Burnt Cheesecake. So a Basque Burnt Cheesecake is a really easy, no hassle cheesecake where you literally make up a mix, pour it into a pan and bake it for an hour, letting it burn. It's really nice. It has a kind of burnt caramel flavour, a little bit similar to a creme brulee, except it's a little bit more eggy than a creme brulee. So it's not a very traditional cheesecake. There's no biscuit crumb layer or anything like that, and as I said, you burn the hell out of it. It's what gives it a very unique flavour. It's quite a modern recipe as well. I think it's only been around like 20 years or so. I think it originates from Spain, I want to say. I mean, we did quickly Google it and something called a tarta de queso came up, which I'm assuming would mean cheesecake in Spanish. But we're just going to get started with the actual recipe right now. So the first thing you want to do when making basically anything at this point is preheat the oven. We're going to set it to about 200 degrees Celsius. You can go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but kind of around the 200 degrees range. And I need to actually do that. I forgot how to use our oven very suddenly. So when you preheat the oven, you only really want to have one rack in the centre of the oven. You don't need anything else in there. And for this recipe, you don't need to worry about having a water bath. You don't need a lot of ingredients for this cheesecake. As with most, you kind of mostly need cream cheese and double cream. So for this recipe, we're going for about 600 grams of cream cheese, about 300 ml of double cream, then 275 of caster sugar, I had to think then, 4 eggs, pinch of salt, about a tablespoon of vanilla bean paste. You don't have to put it in, I just think it kind of really enhances the flavour, and then just a tablespoon of flour at the end, before it goes in the oven, obviously. So now that we've got the oven preheated, we're going to line the springform pan, and I'll show you how to do that, roughly. So you want to start by lightly greasing the tray. You really don't need a lot of butter. This has been out a while, so it's really soft. You just want like a kind of rough, even layer, quite a thin layer around the whole base, and then we're going to line it with parchment. So we're going to do the parchment in kind of two sections. We're going to have a bit for the bottom, and then we're going to have some going around the side. The easiest way to cut it for the bottom is to cut it into a square, and then cut it back down into a circle using the base as a guide. When you cut it, if you cut it a little bit too big, it doesn't really matter, especially for this cheesecake, because you want to make sure that the sides are fully lined so that none of the batter is going to escape. So when it comes to lining the sides, you want to make sure that you've got quite a big overhang on it, because the cheesecake is going to rise a lot and then sink back down. To begin the cheesecake, start by weighing up 600 grams of cream cheese and 275 grams of white caster sugar. Then, in a mixer, put on a medium-high speed until it creams together entirely. You'll know the mix is ready when you take some out of the bowl and roll it between your fingers. It will feel smooth, not grainy or like sand-like. Then add a tablespoon of vanilla bean paste. Then mix again on high, making sure that the vanilla bean paste has fully incorporated with the cream cheese mix. Next, we'll add our eggs, adding them one at a time, making sure that they're incorporated before we add the next one. Then we'll add our double cream, once again incorporating it fully into the mix. Finally, we'll finish off by adding a pinch of salt and a tablespoon of plain flour, fully combining the whole mix, and it's ready to go. You'll know it's done when the consistency kind of reaches this point where it forms ribbons on the surface and it kind of takes a while to sit back on itself. I know it looks like a very wet mix, but it actually does bake down into a really nice kind of stodgy, vanilla-y, eggy cheesecake, much like a creme brulee. So as you saw when I poured it out then, there's a few crinkles on my baking parchment towards the bottom. You don't need to worry about them, they just kind of add kind of different coloration around the side, and honestly it shouldn't stick or anything like that, so you don't need to worry. It's just, I'm not going to be bothered to sit there and actually crimp my baking parchment to make it a perfect looking cheesecake. No one cares that much. I also briefly tapped it just to give it a quick level, and now we're going to put it straight into the preheated oven and we're going to bake it off for about an hour. It'll get pretty dark when it's in the oven, but don't worry about it, we're going to test it when it comes out. And just to be safe, we're going to set a timer for about 50 minutes, just in case. So my timer's just gone off, and I'm going to pull it out of the oven now and quickly test it. This is a tiny little shot of me kicking his ball.
Alfie,
come on. Away.
The oven's hot, baby.
Away. boy jiggle. When you test the cake, all you have to do is put something into the middle, either a cake tester or a little like butter knife, pull it out, and if it's clean, it's ready. It's ready! When the cake is out of the oven and you've checked that it's cooked, you're going to leave it to cool in the ring for about an hour and then put it in the fridge to finish cooling. That'll take about 2-3 hours. When it comes out of the oven, don't worry about it sinking, it's kind of meant to do that. It's going to sink into itself because a lot of the air has come out of it. Once the cheesecake is fully cooled, you can take it out of the springform pan. I'm going to show you kind of an easier way of doing that quickly. I need my plate. So an easy way of getting it off the bottom and getting this paper off is put a plate on top, flip it. Okay. I say that, I can't get this off. Then we just want to peel the parchment off somehow. So once you take all the parchment off the bottom, you'll notice a few bits come off, not the end of the world, and then we just want to get it onto another plate, so literally same process, put a plate, flip it, and take the top one off. And there we go. As you can see, it is very dark around the outside, but that kind of forms its own little crust. There you go. There we have a Basque Burnt Cheesecake. Nice and dense on the inside, dark on the outside. And there we go, that's the recipe for a Basque Burnt Cheesecake. You can serve it like that. You can put a little bit of cream over the top, make a ganache pour on top, anything you want really. It's super nice, really hard to resist eating all of it in a day, in my opinion. You're just being a little fidget bar, aren't you? It'll last in the fridge for about 4 days roughly, but I don't think it'll actually last that long. I'm pretty sure people would eat it faster than that. Right, we're going to go, aren't we, Pup? You're going to wave? Say bye-bye. Good boy. Move everything away!